I came here first in 2004, and we were asked to do a building, a major building on the site which is marked by a little flag. And 2 years ago, it was the exact moment that I became increasingly happy and nervous about the condition of architecture and the use of architecture, and where I really became almost desperate that the incredible pressure of the market economy was forcing architecture itself into increasingly extravagant conditions. And seemingly Dubai seemed to be the epicenter of that extravagance. So I came with very deeply ambivalent feelings. And those ambivalent feelings were turned very quickly. And this ambivalence was kind of really, it seemed as if the idea of the city and the metropolis itself had become turned into a caricature almost, where the city was no longer a kind of coherent entity, but maybe a kind of patchwork of theme parks, and the city itself seemed to become the locus and kind of a collection of increasingly bizarre characters that were perhaps not even really living there, but partly mythical and partly real. And exactly because of all this ambivalence and Dubai as a kind of center of a new kind of strangeness, it seemed to me perhaps an ideal utopia to try to work through the crisis of architecture. The crisis of architecture is kind of really clear in the following number of images. This is a major architect and a major architecture building. This is a building 2 years later proposed for Dubai. This is a major architecture and a major building. This is a building in Dubai proposed 2 years later. This is a major architecture and a major building. And these are buildings proposed for Dubai 2 years later. So it seems that not only was Dubai tracking official architecture, but that it was also kind of generating a complete caricature of architecture that reflected for me very badly on architecture itself. In the top line, I have basically the most senior architects of the world in the last 10 years put together in a kind of single skyline. And here the most, you cannot even say the most senior architects from the Middle East. These are just Middle Eastern architecture, architects that operate at a vast scale, that produce enormous amounts of work. And what both made me nervous and excited me deeply is the similarity between these two skylines. And therefore, as I argued, as we shall see later, kind of more or less in vain, this spelled the end of that. This was so absurd that it shows the absurdity of this, and so therefore it would liberate us from this obligation and enable us to start from scratch. And that was my first attempt in Dubai, therefore, to use Dubai and to use the kind of expectations of absurdity and to run against them, and to propose a very singular, pure building, really a new beginning. Building that is 200 meters wide and 300 meters tall, and that kind of would simply assert that the age of the icon or the age of that kind of increasingly bizarre architecture will be over. And my theory was, or my expectation was that the building would particularly work only or work best in the context of Dubai because it could count on the contrast and the context of all the other buildings in Dubai to achieve its pristine beauty and at the same time eccentricity perhaps, and therefore read loud and clear as an important new declaration in a strange moment in architecture. So this was 4 years ago. We became also, as we were speculating in Dubai and increasingly involved in Dubai, we became somehow Dubai advocates, not really exactly advocates, but it became important to us to understand Dubai better and to understand how this constellation of buildings and architecture has come about, what were the forces that had shaped it, what were the participants that had generated it. And we made our interest in Dubai manifest on the Art Biennial in Venice almost 4 years ago, where we for the first time showed this interest, and at that time in the context that was as creative but also as tasteful as an Art Biennial. I think it stood out and was kind of remarked that Dubai suddenly was kind of presented in the same context as an issue to take seriously. And that became increasingly then my mandate. We published a book on Dubai, actually on the whole Gulf region, because Dubai is here for this lecture can be only a metaphor about the Gulf region as a whole. 2 years ago at Almanac, where we simply decided to look and to engage the Arab world, to talk to the Arab world, and to counteract some of the kind of more superficial or some of the more common Western analyses of Dubai. And when I say Western analysis of Dubai, there is no person kind of more eloquent about the evil of Dubai. Mike Davis' Evil Paradises is a book about Dubai, published again more or less simultaneously. And in it, he described Dubai, as you probably know, a nightmare. Walt Disney makes over Spear on the shores of Arabic. And it's kind of the superficial plausibility of this kind of reading Dubai that we have tried kind of more and more to contradict. And in that sense, in actually a quite strange position of somebody who is of course not an Arab, who has no major Arab allegiances, and who is nevertheless kind of arguing against some of the, what I see as dangerously kind of superficial interpretations of a phenomena, admittedly as ambiguous and multifaceted, both in the good sense and the bad sense of Dubai. We started really looking at the Gulf as a whole, and looking at givens like youth literacy and ecological footprints. In other words, kind of rather than judging, we started kind of looking at more analytical, developing a more analytical view. And perhaps the most interesting things we discovered for us, and that at that point showed our ignorance, is that if you look at the relationship of expats versus native,